Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is Watermelon Lime Zinger from Celestial Seasonings. It's kind of summery while my mind is kind of thinking about all things autumnal. But I am talking about a summer-related haul, and it is kind of warm out, so I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. But I'm going to do the first of 2 or 3, I don't know, hauls that I had while I was in Chicago. And you know what? It was a really successful haulage for me anyway. We mostly, my sister and I was visiting my sister. If you look, you can find her haul. It was very recent that I have on my channel. And we went to a number of different bookshops, mostly used bookshops. So most of what you'll see, especially in this video, you'll see only used books. And we did that all over Chicago. And so hopefully I'll remember which bookshop each book was from. But if I have to sort of guess, I will try. Because it's been a couple weeks now, my memory is bad. But today I thought I would focus mostly on Victorian era novels and also some Viragos that I picked up, one of which is Victorian, so it works together. I think it does anyway. So I am going to be kind of bouncing around the bookshop, so I'm not going to do it in time order, more just this pile of books that I have before me, and if it happens to correspond with, in the order of the bookshops I went to, that'd be great, but I doubt it will. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to start by mentioning a book, actually 2 books here, that I got in a wonderful place called Ravenswood Books. I think it was one of the top ones. I'm not going to do a whole ranking of my favorite bookshops in Chicago, but I would say it's up there. If you like Victorian novels, it's really a good place because there is an amazing collection. If you're, say, looking for the lesser known works of George Gissing, my goodness, there are so many, for instance. But I found some books that in print I have not found, I don't know about ever, in all of my searches. And of course I haven't been doing many searches outside of New York, so who knows? But these are 2 books that I found in Ravenswood. I don't know if these are the only ones. We'll see. But this is Thomas Hardy, Under the Greenwood Tree. See this edition? It's a Penguin English Library. They have a bunch of different types of penguin this and penguin that, but it does have the orange spine, which I like. And this is not a very big book, so if you are looking to find a smaller book to fit into your Victober reading, this might be a good idea. I haven't read it, but the reason I'm saying that is because this is also mentioned in the back. It says that it is probably the best loved and certainly the happiest of all Hardy's novels. And this is interesting because even though I'm really split in my ideas of Thomas Hardy, I rarely find a book of his that feels happy. Some are a little happier or have happier resolutions, but so I'm really curious, and I have heard of this one a number of times, and I am hoping to get to it soon. I probably won't get into it in Victober because there is a group read of another Thomas Hardy, and I don't want to double up too much. But we'll see. I'm very happy about finding that one. I'm not going to read the description of each and every one of these. A couple of them I will read. Probably the Virago ones I'll read, but not all, because I guess we don't really have that much time. But the fact that it's a cheerful one is good. Now this is an Elizabeth Gaskell. This I don't think is one of her more cheerful ones, however. But I've yet to read it, and I've been looking for this one. Surprisingly, later on, we went to a Barnes & Noble, which I always like to at least visit a Barnes & Noble. And surprisingly, this book was there too, but, cost a little bit more. Not in a shocking amount. But the fact that I found this at all, again, was surprising because I almost always, when I go to a used bookstore, I can go to new bookstore too, but especially used bookstore, I always look for Elizabeth Gaskell because, north and south, you'll find Wives and Daughters probably, or Cranford. One of the 3 you probably will find. But Mary Barton has always been a challenge. I have that already. And the other one that I have a challenge finding is Ruth. So there it is. Look at this happy little picture of Ruth. Although this artwork is from The Governess by Richard Redgrave. I've seen this being used for Jane Eyre before, but this is different. So it sounds kind of depressing. Sounds Ruth Hilton, an orphan and dressmaker's assistant, is seduced and heartlessly deserted by the wealthy Henry Bellingham. So it has, a child born out of wedlock. Unmarried motherhood actually sounds a little nicer. That's what it says here. So that is part of what is discussed in this book. I don't think it's going to be the happiest book, but we'll see. I won't get to it anytime soon. Now, here's a book I found in my Myopic Books, which is a shop that I heard of years ago when someone I knew went there, and she got me a bookmark from there. And I always love the name, just because I am also myopic. So I thought that was pretty great. A lot of readers are. And it's still nice tea. So I was always like, okay, if I ever go to Chicago, this years ago, I said, if I ever go to Chicago, I'm going to go to this place. And then when my sister moved to Chicago, I said, oh, well, whenever I visit her, we have to go here. I mean, she can visit all the bookshops she wants on her own, but whatever we do, I got to visit this particular one, among others. But, and I didn't dislike it. There was a pretty decent selection. We found a good amount of things. There were other books I had to put back because I couldn't buy everything. But I just felt, I guess we went there on a Saturday in a kind of busy area, and it wasn't packed, but it was one of those things that when you're browsing, and there are certain people who continually look over your shoulder or stand right next to you when you're trying to browse. There's a difference between if you're there half an hour, but if you're there for like less than 3 minutes and someone's got to hover, it does take away some of the enjoyment of the experience. That's not the bookshop's fault, but I will associate with that, so oh well. But I did find this gem, at least I hope it's a gem. I had to there was some dirt on it, so I had to clean it off, so I think now it's got sort of I don't know, funny markings on it either way. But if you've ever heard of this book, by the way, please let me know, because it's a non-such classic, which I like, because I remember 84 Charing Cross Road, one of my favorite books, refers to a non-such edition of a book. So I'm assuming it's the same company. I could be wrong. But I always liked this particular shape. In fact, I don't know if I still have another book that's in this shape that I have no intention of reading, but I like it so much. But anyway, this is Robert S. Surtees' Ask Mama. I'm assuming it's Mama. There you go. See that? Very Victorianish picture, I think. Yeah. I mean, it could also slightly be Regency, but I think it's Victorian looking, actually. Yeah, it looks more Victorian. Anyway, this is what it says as a description. It was written, I think, in the 1850s. Let's see. I had checked all these before. 1858. And it says, a beautifully illustrated, which I was like, example of the Victorian novel follows the romantic exploits of 2 generations of the Pringle family. I know what snack I'm going to eat with this. The mama of the title is Miss Emma Willing, a humble seamstress who makes a good first marriage, I don't know where grand came from, to Mr. Billy Pringle. The happy product of this union is the hero of our story, their son, Fine Billy. Billy quickly finds himself launched into polite country society, immersed in a world of fox hunting, pageantry, and romance. Filled with colorful and humorous characters, Ask Mama presents an affectionate and irreverent picture of country life for the wealthy Victorian. So that sounds like fun. Hopefully, I mean, the fact that I've never heard of it hopefully doesn't mean that it's a failure. Again, if you guys, I will say this once, I'll probably say it again. If you guys see any of these books and say, Catherine, you need to read this one ASAP, maybe put it in your October TBR, which is almost set, but nevertheless, feel free to comment on any of these, especially if you've read them before. Okay, now we have 2 trollops from 2 different spots. This one, I believe, was from one of our first days, which we went to a good number of bookshops within the same area. Don't remember the street it was on, but it was an area, I think, called Andersonville. I'm not sure. They had a really good cafe there with named Lost Larson that had, can I say it, cardamom buns, which is one of my favorite things to have with tea or anything else. And they had a particularly good example of it. So this bookshop was pretty close. What was it called? Uncharted Books, not Bookseller. Uncharted Books which is a nice name. There was a dog in there, a big, fluffy white dog, older dog named Ramona, bookish name. Anyway, so this is what I found there, I think. Like I said, some things I may have found other places, but I think this is where I found this one. And this is Mr. Scarboroughs Family. So it's one of his standalones, I think. And it's, Mr. Scarborough was luxurious, self-indulgent, and altogether indifferent to the opinions of those around him. A liar and a lawbreaker, he was neither truthful nor moral. Indeed, the kindly lawyer, Mr. Gray, considered him to be the wickedest man the world ever produced. Oh, arguable. The intensity of the feeling which existed when old Mr. Scarborough declared that his well-known eldest son was not legitimate had not been forgotten. And yet by his own lights the old man is moral. He does care, is affectionate to his children, and anxious above all things for their welfare, or rather happiness. Mr. Merton, his physician secretary, says of him, I think that he has within him a capacity for love, and an unselfishness which almost atones for his dishonesty. The result is one of Trollope's finest late novels. So it's one of his later novels. Good times. And it's a pocket classic by Alan Sutton Publishing, Gloucester, England. So it says first published 1883. That's after he died. So it probably, was it posthumous or I don't know. Either way, looking forward to reading this one at some point. I have a couple of Trollopes going, so don't know when I'll get to any more Trollops, but nevertheless, I just love Anthony Trollope. And I do have a collection, of certain ones. Like you see here, oh, sorry about the, you see here I have some of the, they're a little wonky. I have some of these world classics here. You already saw an example of another one. A lot of those are Trollops. I have a couple of other editions of Anthony Trollope. But this one I have a good amount of too. These orange spined penguins. Let's see. Oh, yes. And I found this one in a place called Tangible Books. I have to mention that first. And I thought, okay, number one, this could be good for the rest of my collection, even though it's got numbers on the side, which is annoying. But I got this at Tangible Books. See, there's the bookmark. Well, I love places that give you bookmarks from their shops, even little cutout ones like this. It's just such a wonderful courtesy. Tangible Books is in the more south side of Chicago, close to the south side of Chicago, near their Chinatown, which is a nice area too. We got Hot Pot. Doesn't sound right. We had a meal there at a place called something, the Happy Lamb, I think. And it's the first time I had something at Hot Pot situation, which I've never had before. So it's a whole thing. Anyway, and then we had boba tea. So that was kind of nice, or bubble tea, whatever you want to call it. I had a nice time there. But not far from there, a quick walk away, is Tangible Books, which the owner there was the previous owner of Myopic Books. So maybe that legendary status came from this guy. I would think so, because Tangible Books was amazing. Their selection was phenomenal. This is where my sister Bonnie found her massive Ella Montgomery collection. And I will show you another Ella Montgomery in another video. So great place. I mean, and it's not just that was findable there. Just so many great editions. And so this is one of the ones we found. And yeah, so Tales of All Countries, the second series by Anthony Trollope. It's a series of short stories. I don't think I have the first part, and that's okay, because I have to be in the mood to read short stories anyway. But I do want to see what Anthony Trollope does with short stories. I think that'd be pretty great. I think that's himself. I have never seen him that I know of portrayed in like a film or like a documentary or something. You see Dickens all the time and other people, but why do you not see Anthony Trollope? He was so amazing. At least his writing was. I haven't read a biography of him yet. That's a goal. I have one or two in my possession. Anyway, so then I also found 3 Virago modern classics. I think this is all from Tangible Books. The handwriting in the little pencil writing in there all looks to be. And I'm a bit of a collector of Viragos. You can just about see in the frame past the world classics some green there. I would love to just have a massive collection of Viragos. I have a decent selection. It's that beautiful color green. They have such a great amount of a variety of books. And I think most of the focus had been on female writers, but I don't know if it's strictly that. I don't know, but almost everything I have from Virago that I can see comes from female writers, which is nice because, I mean, why not? And this particular one is a little beat up, but this description looked kind of interesting to me. And I thought, hey, if I'm in the mood to go somewhere and have like a book that I could just throw in my bag and not worry about it getting dented or torn, because this is already dented and torn, and got some tape on it or something. This is Mrs. Humphrey Ward's Marcella. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce Marcella. I like the picture. I don't know if you can see the cat down there. Kitty cat. So, of course, that's a draw to me. I mean, like I said, it's a little torn, but I could deal with that. This painting is At Home, a Portrait by Walter Crane. Anyway, so I'll read part of the description, and you'll probably see, me being a lover of the Pre-Raphaelite art movement, you'll probably see why I picked this up and kept it with me. Marcella Boyce, a Pre-Raphaelite beauty of the 1880s, is passionately in love with the ideas of socialism. A 21-year-old art student, she lives in a Kensington boarding house, I love Kensington, until her father inherits the family estate, Mellor Park, in the Midlands. Leaving her studies, her philanthropic work in the East End, and the company of her bohemian friends, she embarks on her new life at Mellor Park, determined to alleviate the poverty she sees around her. Then Aldous Raeburn, Tory candidate and heir to Lord Maxwell's estate, falls in love with Marcella. But Marcella is torn between her longing to become mistress of Maxwell Court and her burning idealism. Before she can reconcile the two, Marcella can learn through bitter experience the real barriers that divide one human from another. So that could be a little bit sad, I don't know. But yes, it's kind of hard to be that wrapped up in social stuff and also become part of the slightly elite society. I guess that's what they're trying to say. I don't know. I'll find out if I ever read this book, which I hope I can, because it looks really, really interesting. And look, another bookmark from Tangible. I love when they do that. Anyway, and the next one is surprisingly old. Virago classic. I think, sorry about that. I keep touching my face, We were told to stop touching our faces, and yet I continue to do so. But I usually don't see anything earlier than possible Jane Austen's, but this one is even earlier. I think it's the 1760s that this was written, and this is Sarah Scott's Millennium Hall. Goodness, have you ever heard of this? Because I was pretty surprised, and this is probably one of the ones in the best condition. Also has a bookmark in here. And it says, another M name for a place, Millennium Hall is an elegant mansion surrounded by fragrant pastures and hedgerows of hyacinths and primroses. Sounds delightful. In this idyllic setting live 6 women of independent means who have eschewed the falsehoods of society and come together to establish a utopian community. Their backgrounds are very different, but a common spirit unites them all. All have rejected the image of women as chattel, choosing instead to devote themselves to a cooperative life founded on female friendship and support. Published anonymously in 1762, I would think, this forgotten visionary work was one of the first novels to show that marriage need not be the ultimate ambition for a woman. Kind of wow. So I hope it's a good book, because, novels around this time, for me, don't usually do it for me, so I would love to be pleasantly surprised. And just, right? So last but not least for today, I have an Elizabeth Taylor, the writer, not the actress. I know, a lot of people know the difference. This is the most recent book. I think it was in the 1940s. And guess what? This is Elizabeth Taylor, A View of the Harbor. Look at that. It's a harbor. And this cover is a detail from Lyme Regis by Richard Urick. Lyme Regis. Anyway, so this one sounds kind of, Passion. Passion intrudes into the dull, predictable world of a faded coastal resort when Tori, not a Tory, a person named Tori, recently divorced, begins an affair with her neighbor Robert, the local doctor. His wife Beth, Tori's best friend, oh my goodness, writes successful melodramatic novels, oblivious to household chores and the relationship developing next door. But I like her already. But their daughter, Prudence, is aware and is appalled by Robert and Tori's treachery. The resolution of these painful matters is conveyed with wit and compassion, as are the restricted lives of other characters, the refreshingly coarse Mrs. Bracy, the young widow Lily Wilson, and the self-deceiving Bertram. In this enchanting and devastating, well-observed novel, first published in 1947, there you go, Elizabeth Taylor again draws an unforgettable picture of love, loss, and the keeping up of appearances. Oh, it's too bad this isn't the one that said Hyacinth in the back. Oh, I love that show. Anyway, so this sounds a little sad. I don't know. I don't really like reading books about marital infidelity, but this might be a good story. I've heard really good things about Elizabeth Taylor. I have another book of hers that I haven't read yet, so maybe it's time to get started already. So that is my haul so far. I think we can leave it from here. Let me know if you've read any of these books and you would recommend any of these books. Let me know if you've been at any of these bookshops in Chicago that I mentioned. Well, I'll try to write them down below, but if I forget, Uncharted Books, Ravenswood Books, Tangible Books, Myopic Bookshop. I think that's it for now. I'm probably forgetting one, but there will be more in upcoming videos. If you like talking about the kind of books we talked about today, please subscribe and you will hear more. Eventually you will hear discussions or at least a few comments about some of these books when I actually read them. So for now, I will leave it here. This is Catherine, Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and book-filled day.